Hi, welcome to OpenText World 2021. My name is Greg Petty and I'm the President and CTO of RavenBlack. I was originally the founder and CTO of a company called Resonate KT, and we invented and developed the product suite now called Content Intelligence, and more commonly known as Web Reports. Hundreds of customers around the world have used these products to build sophisticated enhancements to Content Suite, including full-blown whole-cloth applications, sometimes with hundreds of web report objects. Our main focus as a company is to provide services and products to help customers to fully realize their investment in this popular technology. And in this Turbo Talk, I'm going to discuss and demonstrate a couple of products we've recently developed to really move development, management, and support of web reports-based applications into a new era. Now we're going to do a demonstration of our new products on a Content Suite demo system. We'll spend most of this demonstration doing a whirlwind tour of our Application Analyzer tool. But we have another product of note that I'd like to show you, which is a multi-agent scheduler. And this provides a powerful enhancement to the existing web report scheduling feature. This is the tool that you currently have on your content server system. It's kind of a simple list of scheduled web reports with a few controls. You can't actually access the scheduled information for the web report from here. With our extension, when you go into that page, you'll actually get this page. And this has a few enhancements. Firstly, you can add or remove or edit agents. So you can have more than one agent. You can create them here. We've just named these simple things. You can name them anything you want. As in when you pick a particular agent, it will highlight all the web reports that are running on that particular agent. Simply put, if you decided you wanted one of these web reports to run on a different agent, you would double click it, and now it's running on this thing called a 1-minute agent. These agents can each be given a different sleep interval, so they can run at different times, and you can allocate them accordingly. This screen also has additional repeat interval information and the ability to edit the web report schedule for any user that defined it directly from this screen, which is very useful for administrators. Moving swiftly on to the Application Analyzer, I'm going to demonstrate it in 5 functional areas, and I'm going to try and fit in a couple of use cases that might illustrate the functionality best. To start with, we can open the Application Analyzer a variety of ways, one of which is from the admin menu. And from here you have the analyzer. You can reveal or hide the classic header. You can view help, and you have the option to put this into dark or light mode. The Finder panel on the left-hand side is where we can do our navigating, which is the first functional area. You can search, you can browse, and we have a number of what we call aspects. The browsing paradigm is basically the ability to drill down into folders, but once you've loaded a particular volume, in this case the enterprise, you can then open up and drill down into areas as you need. As well, you can use this filter to quite dynamically filter down to a particular object. Moving into the management part of the functionality, if we look at one of these CS applications and we have a sandbox app here, we mount it and now we see all of the objects in that application and we can drill down into them. Plus we have all kinds of management information for this application, including the ability to see if certain objects have been changed and to diff them, and subtags which may or may not have been updated to the latest version, and so on. Similarly, for objects like web reports, you have all of the metadata you need, including linkage, locations, and app ownership and things that you can mount to further manage your web report. The next function I'm going to look at is visualization. The idea here is for any web report, you can mount it either by double-clicking or selecting this icon, And it'll show you not only that web report, but all of the web reports it interacts with via software calls. This is regardless of where these items are stored, what folders, even if in different applications. Any software call will be provided here. This can also be viewed in a graphic form. And these dotted lines show interactions, software interactions that are basically HTTP requests. The solid lines indicate sub-web report calls. This is important for various reasons. The bottom line is you can look at an entire application through this linkage and in this graphical format. You can zoom in or out and select how many levels you want to look at. Now I'm going to look at the developer function provided by the analyzer. And just to mix this up a bit and show you another way that this can be done, I'm going to access this from Classic Content Server. And I'm going to open the analyzer from there. And again, similar to what we already have, this is another way you can mount a web report and all of its sub-web reports and other calls. This is very useful for a developer because you don't have to go into the source, look and see what sub-web report calls are there, and then go to the constant tab and find out where they are. It's all linked here automatically for you by crawling the code. And I'm going to dive down here a little bit and pick a particular web report. You can see you can go down this ways. And perhaps I found that I have a concern with code that's in this web report. I'm going to collapse all of these sections so you get a sense of what they all are. But as one example, we could look at this version list and compare different versions any way you want. Once you're into this comparison, you can select different versions. So I can go back and even step back. So I'm looking at different versions. I can jump to where the changes are, as you would expect with a normal diff kind of tool. I can also look at things like constants, how they're used, where they're used, whether we're inheriting from other web reports. I can look at all of the available constants of this particular web report and if we have any duplicates. So for example, we've defined something locally that we're already inheriting. This is very useful for performance analysis and ironing out any bugs that might come from duplicate references. We have similar capabilities with parameters, and if there are any data sources or destinations, you have information about that and the ability to mount that object. So for example, here we could go into the container where the output of this web report is being dropped. In addition to all of this metadata, of course, we're able to edit web reports from here. And you can either drag the left panel over, or for that matter, you can full screen this. And from here, you can edit it. And while this looks very similar to the existing web reports editor, it also has the diff built in. It works similar to what I just showed you. It has the ability to step back versions just by clicking this and going back, and you can look at code that you worked on previously, maybe cut, copy and paste it or whatever. It also has a very powerful autocomplete. There are some shortcuts you can use that are on this little help guide. And from here, for example, I can start to type and have it autocomplete, and now I've got an if and if statement. Within here, I might want to put in a constant. I start to type, I pick a constant, and in here maybe I want to compare it to a variable, and I can do that. Also, if I want a subtag, it fills in that too. So it's a very powerful autocomplete with every single tag or subtag that is in any system this runs on. Finally, there's an improved validation for this product, which improves on the existing validator, where if you have even little minor syntax errors like this, it will not only give you the error message, but it'll show you exactly which tag the error was found in. Just fix that there and save it. And we have now, if it validates correctly now, we have a saved web report. And that works fairly simply and easily. Finally, there's a feature that will relate to my next section on auditing, which is that you can edit descriptions quite easily. And we're using them to add comments about the application. So for every component, I gradually keep notes on it. And then later, we can create documentation for an application. So moving into the auditing part of this demonstration, I'm picking our sandbox application. I'm selecting it here from a list of CS applications, and you'll see a couple of options here. One of them is documentation, which I just mentioned, and it collates all of the descriptions from all of the objects and puts them into documentation like this. You can also include a markdown document if you want to add in any bulk text, but this automatically provides documentation for the customer or whoever you're delivering this application to, so they actually have an idea how it works. Secondly, we have this thing called an audit report, which crawls the entire web report and demonstrates any errors that's found in the process of crawling the application. In this case, some simple things using literal data IDs, which is a no-no, and undefined constants. Finally, if you're trying to analyze a particular application, you can do this option called Mount All Software Branches, which shows you every web report, whether orphans or actually branches of trees, so you can actually find where the software trees start and you can dig down into them. It's a great way of sorting out an application into pieces that an administrator can examine. Now, two quick examples for you. Firstly, imagine you have a user that's come to you and they're complaining that they're adding content to a folder and it takes quite a long time to load. And all they really know about it is that it's a folder and has the word ingestion in it. So we search for that folder. And on a quick inspection, we see that it has triggers associated with it. And we can look at the web report in question that is getting run when content is added. And from there, we can also see what other web reports were called and investigate accordingly. Second example, we have users complaining about a widget in a smart view of a business workspace that is showing up an error message. And you know where they've shown you where the business workspace is. From here, we could invoke the analyzer tool. And once in here, we see that there's an override. This is the perspective that's associated with it. We can mount the perspective, and then we can look at the various tabs and find the web report in question and examine it from there. We can also see any details of the widget, any parameters that were involved in the perspective and how those might affect the web report. Also, we'll note in the parameters tab here, it shows web report and perspective. These parameters are affecting both of those objects. Well, that concludes our whirlwind tour. I'm sorry it was so fast, but it was a turbo talk. If you have any follow-up questions or feedback, please contact us at our website, our email address, or our phone number. And thank you for attending the Turbo Talk.